The desert sun didn't rise, it arrived. It crested the far ridge like a quiet verdict, washing the old western set in gold and dust. Wooden saloons, crooked hitching posts, and a half-built sheriff's office stood frozen in time. Cameras were still asleep. Crew members shuffled in silence, but two men were already awake. Dean Martin stood alone near the edge of the lot, boots planted in the sand, jacket draped over his shoulder. He wasn't singing, he wasn't joking. No whiskey, no smile, just breath. In quad. Everyone thought they knew Dean, the smooth crooner, the charming drinker, the funny guy. But very few knew the man who woke up before sunrise to train. The man who practiced until his fingers burned. The man who believed one thing above all: speed fades, skill lasts forever. He rolled his shoulders, flexed his hands, and reached for the revolver resting on the barrel beside him. 30 yards away, another shadow moved. John Wayne. The Duke didn't sneak. He didn't rush. He arrived with weight, boots heavy, posture solid, presence unshakable. His reputation filled the air before his voice ever did. John Wayne didn't just act tough. He lived disciplined. Military in his habits, relentless in preparation. And today, something was different. They were scheduled to film the gunfight scene, the one everyone was nervous about. Not because of danger, the guns were safe, but because of pride. Two legends, one draw, one moment. The director had whispered it the night before. Tomorrow decides who really owns the screen. Dean had heard, so had Wayne. The rumor. The night before, in a dimly lit trailer, a young assistant director had made a mistake. "Mr. Wayne," he said nervously, holding a clipboard, "people say Dean's faster than you. That his draw is lightning." The room had gone quiet. Wayne didn't react at first. Then he slowly set down his coffee. "Fast," he said. A pause. "Speed's for boys. Control is for men." The assistant swallowed. Wayne stood up, tall and calm. "Tell Dean I'll meet him on set before sunrise." Dawn before the cameras, so here they were. No audience, no director, no clapperboard, just two men in the desert. Wayne stopped 10 feet from Dean. "Morning, partner." Dean nodded. "Didn't think you were the early type?" Wayne smirked. "Didn't think you were either." Silence followed, not hostile, but heavy. Two storms waiting to see who would break first. Dean picked up the revolver. "You here to race?" he asked. Wayne crossed his arms. "No," he said. "I'm here to see what you're really made of." Dean looked at him. Then he did something unexpected. He handed Wayne the gun. Wayne raised an eyebrow. Dean said, quietly, "Speed's cheap. Anyone can be fast once, but control, discipline, that's where the truth is." Wayne studied him. "You don't talk like the man everyone jokes about." Dean smiled, not the performer's smile, the real one. "That's because they don't know me." The test Wayne stepped back. "All right," he said. "No tricks, no acting, just skill." He placed a tin can on a fence post. 30 yards, 5 shots, Wayne said. "No rush." Dean nodded. He holstered the gun. Wayne stepped beside him. "You draw when you're ready." Dean inhaled. Then he moved, not fast, precise, smooth. 5 shots cracked through the air. The can jumped once, twice, 3 times, 4, 5. 5 clean hits. Wayne walked to the fence, picked up the can. 5 holes, all centered. He turned back slowly. "Now," Wayne said, "let's see if you're just lucky." Wayne took the gun. He didn't draw fast. He didn't rush. He settled. 5 shots, 5 hits, same result. 2 men, same skill. Wayne looked at Dean. "So who's faster?" Dean shook his head. "Doesn't matter." Wayne studied him carefully now, not as a rival, but as a craftsman looking at another craftsman. "You don't care about winning," Wayne said. Dean answered, I care about lasting. The real battle footsteps echoed. The crew arrived. Cameras rolled in. Lights lifted. Coffee poured. Voices filled the air. The director clapped his hands. Gentlemen, we're shooting the gunfight today. The tension everyone expected. It wasn't there. Instead, something else had formed. Respect. When they took their places on set, Wayne leaned close to Dean. You ever wonder why so many fast men disappear? Dean nodded, because they never learn how to stand still. Wayne smiled. On camera, action. Dust lifted as their boots moved. The scene demanded speed. Drama, shock. Dean's hand hovered. Wayne's eyes locked. The draw happened in a blink. 2 guns, 2 shots. The director yelled, "Cut." The crew froze. No one spoke. Then the director slowly walked forward. That, he said, was the cleanest, sharpest gunfight I've ever seen. The crew broke into applause. Not for speed, for control. That day didn't crown a winner. It created something better. A lesson. 2 legends walked back to their chairs, not as rivals, but as brothers in discipline. Dean sat down and looked at Wayne. Speed fades, he said again. Wayne finished it. Skill lasts forever. They shook hands, and from that moment on, the set wasn't just a movie location. It became a classroom, where ego was checked, where patience ruled, where legends weren't born from talent, but from work. The applause from the gunfight scene still echoed in the canyon walls long after the cameras stopped rolling. But applause is a dangerous thing. It feeds the part of a man that wants more, not more excellence or more control. Dean Martin walked off set with dust on his boots and silence in his chest. The crew thought he was relaxed. They didn't see his eyes. They didn't hear the voice in his head whispering, "You didn't win. You just didn't lose." John Wayne stayed behind, talking with the director. Laughing, confident, solid. Dean sat alone in his trailer, staring at his hands. These hands had played piano in smoky clubs, thrown punches in alleyways, held microphones under hot lights, fired guns on dusty sets. But today, for the first time in years, they felt replaceable. That thought cut deeper than any insult. The producer's mistake. That evening, the producer hosted a private dinner for investors. The crew wasn't invited. The stars were. Dean arrived late. Wayne was already there, surrounded by laughter. Wine flowed. Stories grew louder. Then someone made the mistake. A young executive leaned over to Wayne and said, loud enough for others to hear, "You still got it, Duke. That kid tried to match you today, but you owned that scene." The table went quiet. Wayne didn't smile, but Dean heard it. He stood, not angrily, not dramatically, just quietly. "I need some air," Dean said. Outside, the desert wind carried the cold. Dean walked until the lights were distant. He didn't hear Wayne following him. "The confrontation don't walk off like that," Wayne said. Dean stopped. "Why not?" "Because that's what men do when they're afraid to speak." Dean turned. "Afraid." Wayne stepped closer. "You heard them?" Dean nodded. "And you didn't correct them." Wayne's jaw tightened. "Because this isn't about them." "Then what is it about?" Dean asked. Wayne answered slowly. "It's about whether you want to be great or just admired." Silence hit harder than a punch. Dean looked at the sand. "You think I'd chase applause?" Wayne said, "I think you let it decide your worth." That one landed. Dean's voice dropped. "You ever been the funny one in the room, Wayne? The guy nobody expects to bleed?" Wayne didn't answer. Dean continued, "They laugh, they clap. They don't see you." Wayne finally spoke. "I see you." "The real challenge?" Wayne turned and walked toward a dark stretch of land behind the set. "Come on." "Where?" "To the place they don't film." They stopped near a broken fence line. No lights, no crew, just moon and silence. Wayne reached into his jacket and tossed Dean a stopwatch. Time me. Doing what? Drawing, reloading, firing again and again. Wayne took position. He didn't rush. He didn't pose. He worked, over and over, not for speed. For consistency, Dean timed him. Again and again. Then Wayne handed him the gun. Your turn. Dean did it. Fast, sharp, but uneven. Wayne said nothing, just handed him the stopwatch. Look, Dean did. Wayne's times didn't change. Dean's did. Oh. Wayne said quietly, you're brilliant. But you still let emotion steer your hands. Dean swallowed. Then teach me. Wayne nodded. Then stop trying to impress people who don't know the cost, the injury. 2 days later, during a complex stunt rehearsal, Dean pushed too hard. He moved fast, too fast. His boot caught a rail. His body slammed into the dirt. The sound stopped the set. Wayne reached him first. Dean tried to stand. His knee buckled. Pain shot through him. Wayne held him down. Don't move. The medic rushed in. The verdict came quietly. Sprain. Bad one? Filming paused. Dean sat in his trailer, ice on his knee, staring at the wall. Wayne stood in the doorway. You were trying to beat something today. Dean didn't look up. Yeah? What? Myself? Wayne answered. That's the one race nobody wins by running. The breaking point. That night, Dean sat alone with no music, no drink, no jokes. Just silence. He replayed everything. The dinner, the fall. Wayne's words. For the first time in years, he let himself admit it. I'm afraid of being forgotten. The door knocked. Wayne entered. I'm not here to fix you, Wayne said. I'm here to walk with you. Dean finally looked up. I don't know how to slow down, Wayne said. Then learn to stand still when it hurts. The dessert didn't change. The set didn't change. But Dean Martin did. Not because he lost, because he felt the edge of losing. And for the first time in his life, he stopped chasing speed and started chasing depth. The knee healed, but the fear didn't. Dean Martin returned to set with a quiet limp in his spirit that no one could see. The crew welcomed him back with smiles and jokes. He gave them charm in return. The same old Dean. Only it wasn't the same man inside. Because once a man touches the edge of being replaced, he never forgets the feeling. The new face. 2 days after Dean's return, a new actor arrived on set. Young, sharp, fast. His name was Billy Carr. He had the look producers loved, confident, hungry, fearless. And he could draw a gun faster than anyone the crew had ever seen. They watched him rehearse. The whispers started. Did you see that? Lightning. He's the future. Dean heard every word. Wayne watched Dean hear them. The producer's offer. That evening, Dean was called into the producer's office. No small talk, no jokes. Straight to business. Dean, the producer said, Billy's killing it. The investors love him. Dean nodded and were thinking about giving him more screen time. Dean's jaw tightened. In my scenes, the producer didn't answer. Dean stood. You're asking me to step aside? The producer sighed. I'm asking you to share the spotlight. Dean smiled the wrong kind of smile. The spotlight isn't shared, it's earned. He walked out. The breakdown. That night, Dean didn't sleep. He paced his trailer. Every mirror showed the same face. Older, tired, still smiling. He grabbed his jacket and walked into the desert alone. The wind cut through him. He went farther than before, then farther still. Until he stopped and finally let the truth speak out loud. I'm scared. No applause answered him, only silence. He dropped to his knees. Not physically weak. mentally empty. For the first time in his life, he didn't know who he was without the crowd. Wayne finds him. Wayne followed his tracks. He always did. He found Dean sitting on a rock, staring at the ground. Wayne didn't say anything at first. He just sat beside him. Minutes passed. Then Dean said, "They're replacing me." Wayne said, "They're testing you." Dean laughed bitterly. "With a kid who moves faster than both of us?" Wayne replied. "Then let him move." Dean turned to him. "What if that's all that matters now?" Wayne looked straight ahead. "Then everything we built was a lie." Dean swallowed. Wayne continued, "But it's not." The challenge rewritten the next day. Wayne did something dangerous. He went to the director, and to the producer, and to Billy Carr, and he changed the scene. Instead of a flashy shootout, he proposed something slower, tighter, more psychological. A scene where the gun wasn't drawn until the very last second. The director hesitated. Wayne said, "If this movie is about men, not boys, then let them wait." They agreed. The rehearsal, the three of them stood on set. Dean, Wayne, Billy. The script changed. No quick draw tricks. No spinning guns. Just silence. Billy shifted nervously. He was built for speed, not patience. Dean didn't move. Wayne didn't blink. Minutes felt like hours. The director whispered, "Action." No one moved. Wind passed. Dust rolled. Billy's hand twitched. Wayne's didn't. Dean's didn't. Billy broke. He drew too soon. The director cut the scene. Wayne looked at Billy. "You just told the whole world you're scared to wait." Billy flushed. Dean felt something change inside him. Not pride. Clarity. The fall. Later that day, Dean and Billy trained together. Billy pushed harder. Too hard. He rushed. Slipped. Hit the ground hard. His wrist cracked. Filming stopped. Billy was carried off. Silence covered the set. The producer looked at Dean. Not angry, not pleased, just thoughtful. The truth that night, Dean sat with Wayne again. He said, "I wanted him to fail," Wayne answered. "And that's why you almost failed too." Dean looked at him. Wayne continued, "You don't protect your place by pushing others down. You protect it by standing taller." Dean nodded slowly. The young lion had fallen. But not because the old lion attacked him. Because the young lion didn't yet understand patience. Dean did now. He finally saw the truth. Speed opens doors. Skill keeps them open. Character decides who gets remembered. The set felt different after Billy Carr left. Quieter. Not because the noise was gone, but because the lesson had arrived. Dean Martin walked slower now, not from injury, from intention. He no longer rushed into scenes. He entered them. He listened to silence. He waited for moments instead of chasing them. And people noticed. The last scene. The director called for the final gunfight of the film. Not fast, not loud. A scene built on tension, not tricks. Dean and John Wayne stood across from each other in the street. No music, no movement, just wind. The cameras rolled. Minutes passed. Dean didn't blink. Wayne didn't blink. The crew held their breath. This wasn't acting. This was two men who had lived through doubt, standing inside it again, but stronger. Wayne's voice cut the silence in the scene. "You always think you'll be ready until the moment arrives." Dean answered, "The moment doesn't care." Then the draw. Not fast. Perfect. 2 shots, 2 echoes. Cut. The director's hands were shaking when he said, "That's the film." The premiere was packed. Flashbulbs, cheers, suits and dresses and champagne. Dean stood on the edge of the crowd. He didn't feel like he used to. He didn't need the noise anymore. Wayne stood beside him. "You didn't look for the spotlight tonight," Wayne said. Dean replied, I found it standing still. The quiet room. After the party, they walked into a small, empty room behind the theater. Just two chairs. Wayne sat, Dean sat. Wayne said, You remember that morning in the desert? Dean smiled. When you told me speed was for boys. Wayne nodded, and control was for men. Dean looked down at his hands again, but this time they didn't feel replaceable. They felt earned. The next generation. Weeks later, a young actor came to Dean. Nervous, respectful. Mr. Martin, how do you get that calm on screen? Dean didn't talk about fame. He didn't talk about luck. He said, do the work when nobody's watching. Lose when nobody's clapping. Wait when everyone else is rushing. The kid nodded and left changed. The last walk. One evening, after filming Wrapped Forever, Dean and Wayne walked the empty set one final time. Boards creaked, dust settled. The street that once held tension now held only memory. Wayne stopped. This place made us better, he said. Dean answered, No, we made ourselves better here. They shook hands, not as stars, as men. Years later, people would talk about that gunfight scene. They'd say it was intense. They'd say it was legendary. But the truth, it wasn't the guns. It wasn't the speed. It was the stillness. It was two men who learned the hardest lesson of all. That when the spotlight fades, what remains is who you were when no one was watching.